Okay, start the timer, ready to go. So last time I was making a annotated JSON listener. At the moment I got it to handle some base things. We can take a look at my tests. So testing that I can handle JSON primitives. To be a primitive, it means you don't get quoted on your thing. Your value, key value pairs. This one is not quoted. So now we need to test nested objects. But before I do that, I'm going to perform a bit of fiddling. So I'm going to make, well, we're going to put these guys up here. Okay. Put that up there. Check my phone because of that. Okay. There you go. Put all that stuff together. Then we're going to make a private inner class. Two private classes, actually, but for the moment. Private class object context. It is also going to implement this interface. Okay. Now, I can actually just take I need that too. All of that, put it in object context. Yeah, that we're not going to care about. Okay. Now then, we go re-implement all these methods. And we are going to take a private so now when we enter that context, we're going to say context equals new. Nope, we're going to instantiate a new one of our inner classes, object context. We are then going to context.enter object. At this point, we're in context.exit object. Context.enter method. All I'm going to do is delegate down to my context object, and then my context object is going to transition to a stack later. And then that will handle everything. So right now we're just going to go context dot primitive value method return context enter collection. Ooh. Don't shout that, that's just rude. Okay. This belongs to us. This belongs to us. This belongs to us. Okay, there we go. So now, I've just moved some methods around. Everything should still pass as before. There we go. Now, let us make a new test. Test nested object renders. Test the nested object renders. Okay. Let's grab everything up here. By everything, I mean that. And we don't care about this bit. But I do care about enter method, enter object. Exit method enter object. We're gonna call this nested. Call this nested. So enter method true. So that tells us true, and instead of the false stuff. So now instead of saying true, it's going to say this. We're going to have type nested in there. To grab this, and inside of my object, actually, that's it. Well, actually, I think I'll have that, which I'm pretty sure is valid JSON. Let me go check a linter. Show you my Twitch stream. JSON lint. I'm gonna go Googling a JSON linter. I'm gonna check to make sure that I can have the trailing comma because I don't want to clean up after myself. Comma. I like JSON. Yeah, true. Okay, so that's something we'll have to do. We cannot have that trailing comma. Which means I'm going to have to do a little bit of fiddling work to make it go away. Actually, no I won't, because I don't put it in there. Yeah, I only do that one enter method, so there we go. Yeah, so it has to be like this. There we go. Nested object, enter object, enter object, nested enter primitive. I actually would have no need of that. What did it do? It rendered out some stuff. Okay, so that works as expected. Right, so to make this test fail, let's go grab this. Actually, I think this will just work. There we go. To enter out a false. Okay. Cheers. Well, I thought I needed that. Well, I will for... Okay, so let's go handle lists now. Okay. Roll with the punches. Test object list. Gonna need exit method. I'm just gonna call it a list. And yeah, I don't know that I saved myself any typing either. So is the method. Listener.enter. Collection, exit collection. Listener.enter primitive. We'll go make these integers. Sure. And it'll be a list containing 1, 2, 3. So now we will expect that the JSON is object, object, list. One or 0, 1, 3. There we go. How close did we come? Very close. We just don't have those and that. So now, when I come to this guy, And I'm gonna make another one of those. Okay. We're just grab the whole thing verbatim. I'm gonna call it list context. Okay, so enter object. We still do that. Except there is no one difference. Boolean first. And we're going to have a little helper method down here, private, print, comma. If first. Just going to be void. And then first equals false. So we do that. Print, comma. Okay. Enter method. We don't dump any identifiers in here because we should never be in a method. Yeah, in the list context, you would never be in a method. You would be in the list iterating over the objects in it. Actually, at this point, we changed the context. So let's come up here. So context, at this point, is going to become a linked list of annotated listeners. We're going to push. We're going to peek. Okay, and in this one we say, first thing we do is we shove on new collection. I called it collection context, didn't I? List context. Which makes sense. Lists are, I'm in JavaScript or JSON, there's only objects are lists. The list context, we should pop it here. Peek, then pop. Exit method, enter method, the only element we did. Context dot pop. Push new context, pop new context. Okay. So now in the list context, first thing we do is printer dot print. When we exit the context, we write that. We don't expect any enter methods and exit methods. We need to print a comma here. I'm going to make that print value. Get shared between the two. And just like that, my test should pass. Except, I did my flag backwards. You don't print a comma. If first, if not first. There we go. Now I have no commas. If first, else. There we go. Okay. Expected, actual. Yeah, the object would end. Okay. There we go. Okay. Now let's put an object as my fourth thing in that list. We'll call this inner. We'll enter it, we'll exit it. Okay, there we go. Now, that should put something in here that is type enter. Oh, look at that. When I enter an object, I didn't print my comma. Why didn't I print my comma? Because I pushed a new object context and it informed my last one. So I think I needed to do this. No, I can't do that. That will break everything. Okay. I should have solved this by trying something crazy. Text.add. And you didn't do anything. Enter. Okay. There we go. At this moment I'm just flailing. I need a no space. Spaces are for the weak. Here we go. That's that. Did I break anything else doing that? Nope. Okay, so that's that. Now let's also put a list inside of that list. Well, first let's enter method val. Exit method val. Comma. There we go. Excellent. Run all of the tests, make sure I haven't broken anything crazy. So I have an object in an object, which still works. Which means an object in an object in an object will work, because that's how I'm handling it. Okay. Now then. that should be everything. So now, and I'm pretty sure that's valid in JSON. Go grab it, shove it into a linter after I remove all of the crazy bits. Yep. As valid as I expect. Sweet. Now then, I will write an integration test that make sure my walker walks it in the way I expect. Test method integration with walker. So now I do annotated response walker, do JSON listener. We need to grab that in a variable listener, and we need to walk some objects. Let's make one. Public static class test object to walk. Put an HTTP response code on there. We will make that 200. Everything's okay. At identifier test object. Let's give it a public boolean. Return true. Identity identifier. We will call that boolean. We'll give this b. We'll call that boolean. We will walk it. Just object to walk. We will assert that listener dot. We'll assert the assertion dude because we were testing the full on integration, which is fine. Render JSON is, I'm going to say empty string for now. I'm going to grab exactly what it printed out, run it through the validator, make sure it's correct, then shove it back into the test. It's a little bit cheating, but, well, if I type all my zeros, 200, 200. There we go. We'll grab that, shove it into a JSON linter. Ah, boo. My IntelliJ is not. It super got mad at me. We're gonna do this, we're gonna do this. Control R slash place all. Did I do that in the file? Nope. Bin section. Good. That looks like what I would expect. We'll run it through a validator. It's good. Okay. Now then, let's go with a list of object. Get objects. Objects. We're going to another public static class. Test inner object. It gets an identifier. I don't need an HTTP response for it. nest inner object. Let's give it a public int int see, the reason I'm counting or just incrementing my letters is because I walk it in alphabetical order. Of these dudes, actually, the rest can call whatever they want. It doesn't matter. And it's a test. I don't particularly wish to be creative with my naming at the moment. There we go. Run it. Objects 1, 2, 3. Boolean true. Yep. Let's give it a nested object. Make these public just in case. Run it. Inner object. That appears to be valid. I'll run through my linter. Ah, there we go. And there we go. That is everything I think I need to do. And we'll paste that in here. I replaced all, didn't I? Undo, undo. There we go. And with that, I should be done. Ta-da! And with that, I have rendered out JSON. And I will be able to set it into my object that I wish to run. So at this point, let's go ahead and just build that JSON renderer. Render. It's going to implement renderer. Okay. Now then, we say new annotated JSON blocker. Do annotated JSON listener. We will need this. Listener, sure. Response that also works. We're gonna ask it to walk to render. Then we take our response, we set the HTTP, set response code, set status. Pretty sure that's the right one. Yeah, because it's the status code. Yep. Then we come over here, we say response listener dot get HTTP response code. Response dot get the print writer. Add a catch clause because that could explode. Ignore for now. Handle this. There's absolutely nothing I can do except log that or send an email of some sort, because at this point the HTTP response stream is just dead. Writer.println response JSON listener dot and your JSON. I will also need to catch exceptions off of this guy, or I could throw them up to the guy that calls render. It's toss up either way. They just have to be caught and handled somewhere, because if you get an error out of this guy, it means that you have an invalid setup object and you need to alert the developers. But that is all that renderer needed. So now, if I implement a simple handler, that will delegate off to that JSON renderer, just instantiates an endpoint, does some stuff with it. We should have everything I need to start sending and receiving messages, formatted in JSON. Which I believe is all I wanted. Well, there you go. This has been the 9th tomato timer that I have gone through so far. I hope you are enjoying it. I wish you farewell.